From bringing light to the dark sides of the superhero phenomenon to looking forward to the release of the blockbuster's second installment, here's how Dune 2 is designed to destroy the MCU. One deals with politics, while the other deals with superpowers. And I know what you're thinking, there's no connection, but you're dead wrong. The original Dune sheds light on the more sinister side of the superhero phenomenon. And guess what? Frank Herbert originally wrote the novel with the mission to show the world how superheroes are disastrous for humankind. And he wasn't wrong. I mean, you gotta agree, Marvel does promote a cult culture, giving us ordinary humans with extraordinary powers to look up to and admire, then using their influence to sell movies, comic books, merchandise, and making tons of money in the process. Imagine all that with a leader like Paul. He's a mentat with unique superpowers. Paul can control the actions of others by using the Voice, can see the future through his dreams, and comes from an influential legacy, being the son of the late ruler of Atreides. All these abilities create an aura of greatness, leading his followers to believe that these are signs of glory to come. Pretty close to a superhero, isn't he? Even the rest of his team, the Fremen army, is made up of people that have passed the survival of the fittest test in the unkind desert of Arrakis, meaning he's surrounded by the strongest bunch, which brings us to the superhero phenomenon. In all of this, it's easy to forget he's still human. Rather, he's looked at as a savior. He perfectly fits the prophecy that there will be a time when one comes to save them all. And this idea has been fed to those around him for so long that when they find out he's capable of more than they are, they feel compelled to put him on the throne. And he, with his internal struggles and imperfect nature, causes corruption by promoting the bloodshed of millions to achieve his cause. It shows how wrong the superhero narrative is. To begin with, let's dig into how the trust of the people gives him uncontrollable power. And even though he has choices, he ends up making the wrong ones. It shows that he isn't perfect. Even though he could see the future, he could do nothing to prevent it. Herbert perfectly showed how messed up dictatorship could be, and also how wrong it is of the people to give this much authority to someone. I mean, apart from the fact that the leaders, or so-called heroes, can be wrong, it also highlights how people can expect perfection from one that is nothing but imperfect, ultimately promoting authoritarianism themselves. Dune shows the truth behind human nature, so it has a deeper message than Marvel. Fans are now slowly switching sides, because the content in the books and movies is way more relevant than what Marvel brings to the table. Paul's character is symbolic of how absolute power can corrupt, making him bigger than superheroes like Iron Man or Captain America. He tackles deeper subjects like religion, politics, and philosophy, the things that make up our society and the people in it, as opposed to fighting a purple monster named Thanos and securing Infinity Stones. For humans, the perfect hero can always be a human, because no one else will bring out sympathy in the way another imperfect human does. The choices and the reasons behind them suddenly become more understandable when you can relate to a character and put yourself in their shoes. And this is precisely why Dune has become the next big thing. Paul's mistakes can be forgiven because of system failure, and the thought that even if someone means well, it can go horribly wrong when the entire world is at stake. It highlights that it isn't one man that brings about chaos, but an entire nation that supports him until things turn south, in which case, the only one to blame becomes the leader they so worshipped. Marvel can never explore these concepts in detail as it's all based on fiction, and there's only so much you can show without taking the essence away. While there's no denying that it has dominated the screens for the past couple of years, the way things are going now, it doesn't seem like it will be making its way back soon. Even fans are sick and tired of the same old storylines the MCU keeps tossing at them. The Marvel fatigue is real, and it's here to stay. The MCU has produced countless movies after Avengers Endgame, and although some have been a success, it's safe to say that most have done horribly at the box office. The question on everyone's mind is, what were they even thinking with Eternals and Thor: Love and Thunder? The genre seems to have reached the point of oversaturation and is now heading towards its inevitable doom. Fans agree that they should have ended things after the universe was saved, because now it's gone back to the colorless storylines of the superheroes. Even Denis Villeneuve, the director of Dune, commented on it, saying that Marvel has turned the fans into zombies. And you gotta admit, the guy isn't wrong. Fans are now only watching the movies because they can't help it, even though they're getting nothing out of it, and leave the cinemas disappointed. He also said that the movies are like cut and paste versions of each other, and while that isn't a bad thing, it limits what can be explored. And compared to Dune, it certainly is the case. The movie is an epic classic, and the way Denis put it forth into the world, the bar has been set higher than ever before. The movie swept the Oscars at the 94th Annual Academy Awards, winning 6 out of the 10 categories it was nominated in, one of which was Best Visual Effects, and boy oh boy, it truly deserved it. The CGI was out of this world, and that brings me to another point. Marvel can only ever hope to reach the success that Dune has received in such a short time. For one, Denis Villeneuve worked extremely hard on the movie, so much so that most of their sets were built in reality. Their CGI was also top class, the sort that hasn't been seen in movies before, so it's useless even comparing Marvel CGI to it. Just look at Thor: Love and Thunder. It's disappointing the fans to no end. Also, whenever Quantum Realm shows up, fans have learned to expect a mix of colors that initially was very eye-catching, but has gotten boring because of its repetitive nature throughout all the movies. Dune, however, brings a fresh take on sci-fi, even when the book was initially published in 1965. Directors deemed it unfilmable because it called into question many of the rules of the sci-fi genre. There have been directors in the past that have tried their luck, but they didn't have what it took to translate their visions of the book onto the screens. David Lynch's Dune flopped at the box office, but some good still came from it because it paved a path for other sci-fi hits, such as Matrix, Star Wars, and even Avatar. So it shows that it has always been an inspiration and continues to be so even today. It leaves a lot for the directors to explore, and if done right, it will become the biggest franchise the world has ever seen. The key point in its success will be that it will bring creativity and originality, pushing the boundaries of filmmaking through art and new storylines, and that's what we saw in the first movie. Unlike the MCU, which is only interested in making the movie good enough to earn bucks, they don't seem to mind feeding the same nonsense to the audience, and the franchise has made itself into nothing but a profit-churning machine now. So there's no doubt that Dune is the future. Fans are now keenly awaiting the release of the blockbuster's second installment. So let's dive straight into the details. The second part is set to be high-paced, as we know that it'll contain a battle between Fremen and the Harkonnens. But what the fans are most looking forward to is seeing Paul become the emperor of the known universe. It's going to be action-packed, and given that Denis has some crazy tricks up his sleeve, it's bound to impress. There's one catch though. He's planning to do a third part as well because he wants to make it a trilogy, meaning he's ready to explore the contents of the second book, Dune Messiah, as well. And even though a go-ahead is yet to be received from Warner Brothers, if the part 2 does well, we might be lucky enough to get more content. Denis revealed that if he gets the third movie, it will help him in completing Paul's journey. At the same time though, he doesn't want to get ahead of himself, but rather wants to take it one step at a time. And I can get behind that. I mean, a lot is riding on his shoulders. The expectation is high, and this way, he'll be way more focused on making the second film more iconic than the first. Here's hoping that Dune Part 2 blows the audience away and becomes one of those classic movies that paves the way for future sci-fi films. So, from looking forward to the release of the blockbuster's second installment to bringing light to the dark side of the superhero phenomenon, that was why Dune 2 is designed to destroy the MCU.